If you think New York begins and ends with Manhattan skylines and Niagara Falls tour buses, think again. What if I show you places where time didn't slow down? It simply never bothered to speed up. These aren't polished tourist towns built for Instagram backdrops or souvenir keychains. They're the kind of places where downtown still means something. Neighbors know your name before you introduce yourself, and the loudest sound on a Tuesday afternoon might be leaves rustling or a flagpole rope tapping against metal. This is New York before influencers and algorithm-driven travel guides got involved. And if that sounds like exactly what you need right now, you're in the right place. Make sure you stick around till the end of the video, because if you need a more detailed guide about moving into these towns, just subscribe to the channel and comment "guide." I will add a detailed guide in the video description. First on the list, we have Elmira, located in southern New York. Mark Twain didn't just visit Elmira, he spent over 20 summers here, wrote some of his most famous works in a hilltop study overlooking the Chemung Valley, and eventually made it his final resting place. Elmira sits in the southern tier, where the landscape rolls gently and the Chemung River carves a path through farmland and forest. Downtown, Elmira's Water Street Historic District feels frozen in the best possible way. Italianate and Romanesque Revival buildings from the 1800s line the blocks, and today those structures house art galleries, antique shops, and gathering spots that form the backbone of local social life. Sorge's restaurant has been family-owned since 1960, serving Italian-American comfort food to a loyal crowd that includes a strong contingent of retirees who meet there every Wednesday for early bird dinners that turn into 2-hour conversations. Nearby, the Turtle Leaf Cafe hosts open mic poetry nights and acoustic music sessions that pull a surprisingly diverse crowd. For those who prefer quieter pursuits, the Chemung County Historical Society offers regular lecture series on local history and genealogy workshops that have turned into informal social clubs. Eldridge Park, established in 1891, remains the town's gathering place with tree-shaded walking paths, a carousel that still operates, and a pond where people feed ducks and catch up on gossip. Summer concerts happen weekly in the park pavilion. Bring a blanket, some snacks, and you're automatically part of the crowd. The real treasure is Quarry Farm, where Twain's octagonal study still sits perfectly preserved with sweeping valley views. Woodlawn Cemetery, where Twain rests alongside his family, doubles as a peaceful park where locals walk daily and visitors leave pennies on his gravestone for luck. Next up, we have Olean in southern New York. Nestled in the southern tier of New York along the Allegheny River, it's framed by rolling hills that turn fiery every autumn and soften into postcard perfection come winter. This is Cattaraugus County's largest city, but don't let that fool you. Olean operates on small-town principles where handshakes still matter, and the local watering holes serve as unofficial town halls. Downtown Olean's North Union Street is lined with turn-of-the-century brick buildings that wear their age well. You'll find the Old Library Restaurant, a beautifully restored Carnegie Library turned upscale dining spot where retirees gather for weekly wine tastings and live jazz on Friday nights. Down the street, the Beef and Barrel has been serving prime rib and strong drinks since the 1960s, with a regular crowd that knows each other by name and a back room that hosts weekly trivia nights that get surprisingly competitive. The Olean Community Center runs everything from morning yoga classes to afternoon bridge tournaments, and the nearby St. Bonaventure University opens many of its cultural events, concerts, lectures, theater productions, to the community, giving the town an intellectual pulse you wouldn't expect. What really sets Olean apart is its relationship with nature without requiring you to be an extreme athlete. The Allegheny River Trail stretches for miles along the water, perfect for gentle bike rides or evening walks. Every Thursday in summer, the Riverside hosts concerts in the park where local bands play and food trucks gather. Grab a lawn chair, a beer from one of the local vendors, and settle in. Nearby, Allegheny State Park offers thousands of acres of forest and lakes, but also easy, accessible trails and lakeside picnic areas where you can enjoy nature without conquering it. The Olean Public Library, built in 1910, hosts regular author talks and historical society meetings in reading rooms that still smell faintly of old books and polished wood. Next, Rome, New York. Rome sits at the site of a geographic game-changer, the spot where the Mohawk River comes closest to Wood Creek, creating the only natural break in the Appalachian mountain chain between Georgia and Maine. That 6-mile portage made Rome the key to westward expansion, the Erie Canal, and basically every major conflict fought on this continent before railroads existed. Today, you can still feel that weight of history, but Rome wears it comfortably, like a well-broken-in jacket. Walking through the wooden stockade past cannons and barracks, you're standing on ground that genuinely altered the course of American independence. The fort hosts regular living history events throughout the year where reenactors demonstrate colonial life, and these draw impressive crowds of locals and visitors who've made it an annual tradition. But more importantly for retirees, it serves as a venue for seasonal festivals, antique shows, and craft fairs that function as major social gatherings. Downtown Rome's Capitol Theater, opened in 1928, still operates as a performance venue with ornate interior and marquee intact. Speaking of restaurants, Teddy's Restaurant has been serving home-style Italian food since 1935, with a bar area that fills up most evenings with regulars trading stories and arguing about sports. The Delta Lake State Park, just minutes from downtown, offers easy lakeside trails, fishing spots, and pavilions where local groups host regular cookouts and gatherings. Rome's American Legion and VFW posts remain active community centers with weekly dinners, bingo nights, and holiday celebrations that welcome newcomers warmly. The Rome Historical Society runs monthly programs and walking tours that have evolved into genuine social events where history buffs gather, debate, and usually end up at a local pub afterward. Next up, Cortland in central New York. Cortland sits right in the geographic heart of New York State, roughly halfway between Syracuse and Binghamton, and it carries that centrality with an unpretentious grace. This is a classic Main Street town where the 1890 courthouse still dominates the downtown square, its Romanesque stone tower visible from blocks away like a civic anchor, reminding everyone where the center is. Cortland's history as a manufacturing hub left behind beautiful industrial architecture that's been repurposed into lofts, galleries, and small businesses. Walk Main Street, and you'll find family-owned storefronts alongside newer cafes and bookshops. But what really matters for retirees is that this downtown actually functions as a daily gathering place. The Cortland Beer Company draws a regular evening crowd to its restored historic building, with trivia nights on Tuesdays and live music on weekends that skews more classic rock than College Party. Down the street, Brew 64 serves craft beer and elevated pub food in a relaxed atmosphere where conversation doesn't require shouting. The town green, shaded by mature trees and lined with benches, still functions as intended. Every Thursday in summer, the Courthouse Concert Series brings free live music ranging from folk to jazz, and locals bring lawn chairs and coolers. Like it's a civic duty. The 1890 House Museum doesn't just offer tours. It runs regular historical society meetings, vintage fashion shows, and Victorian tea events that have become genuine social fixtures. For those who want to stay active without joining a gym, the Gutchess Lumber Sports Complex offers walking trails, and just outside town, Greek Peak Mountain Resort provides year-round activities from skiing to hiking to summer concerts under the stars. Next, 4. Oswego sits where the Oswego River dumps into Lake Ontario, and that confluence has defined everything about this town for over 2 centuries. This is a port city through and through, built on shipping, fishing, and the kind of Great Lakes maritime culture that most people associate with places much farther west. Downtown Oswego's West 1st Street retains its 19th century commercial architecture, and more importantly, retains functioning gathering places. The press box on the waterfront serves as ground zero for sports fans, with big screens, cold beer, and a regular crowd that treats game days like community events. Canale's restaurant has been family-owned since 1929, serving Italian-American classics in an old-school atmosphere where half the dining room seems to know each other. Vona's Restaurant, another multi-generational institution, packs its bar. Most evenings with locals swapping stories over cocktails and fried haddock. The SUNY Oswego campus opens many of its cultural offerings to the community. Theater productions, art exhibitions, and the Tyler Art Gallery's rotating shows provide surprisingly sophisticated cultural programming for a town this size. Oswego Harbor Fest, held every July, transforms the waterfront into a massive 4-day music festival that's become a regional tradition, drawing hundreds of thousands of visitors but maintaining a community festival feel where locals volunteer, perform, and treat it like their personal party. For outdoor enthusiasts, the lake offers year-round activities. Summer means charter fishing for salmon and trout, with several boats operating out of the harbor and captains who've been doing this for decades. Winter brings some of the most reliable lake-effect snow in the Northeast, turning Oswego into a surprisingly active cold-weather town where people embrace the season rather than hibernate through it. Now we have Watertown in northern New York. Watertown sits in the foothills of the Adirondacks, about as far north as you can get in New York. Founded in 1800, this isn't some forgotten hamlet clinging to past glory. It's a working town with deep roots, Victorian architecture that actually gets used, and a public square that still functions as the town's living room. The centerpiece is Public Square, a 5-sided downtown layout so unusual it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Brick storefronts from the 1800s surround it, housing family-owned shops, cafes, and businesses that have operated for generations. Walk through on a Saturday morning, and you'll see what the community looks like when it's not performed for cameras. People stopping mid-sidewalk to catch up, grabbing breakfast at the Crystal Restaurant where locals have been meeting since 1947, or settling into the Irish coffee at Maggie's on the river overlooking the Black River. For retirees, the social calendar actually exists here. The Watertown Farmers Market runs weekly through summer and fall, becoming less about produce and more about running into everyone you know. The public library hosts regular lecture series and book clubs that pull solid crowds. Every July, the Brown Bag Concert Series brings free live music to Public Square. Folks bring lawn chairs, picnic dinners, and stay until the last note fades. The Jefferson County Historical Society isn't just a museum. It's an active community hub with volunteer opportunities and regular events that give you a built-in social network if you're new to town. Just outside, the Black River carves through limestone gorges, creating dramatic waterfalls that powered mills in the 19th century, and now power weekend hikes that won't break your knees. We have Plattsburgh in West New York. Plattsburgh sits on the western shore of Lake Champlain, staring directly across the water at Vermont's Green Mountains. This is a town shaped by water, war, and a stubborn independence that comes from being this far north and this close to Canada. Downtown Plattsburgh's Margaret Street and surrounding blocks showcase 19th century commercial buildings that have been maintained without being over-restored. There's a lived-in quality to the storefronts, and more importantly, there are actual gathering places that matter. Anthony's Restaurant and Bistro has been a Plattsburgh institution since 1967, serving Italian-American classics to a crowd that includes plenty of regulars who've been coming for decades. The bar area fills up most evenings with friendly conversation and local gossip that flows as freely as the wine. Across town, Iris's Cafe and Wine Bar offers a more intimate setting with live acoustic music on weekends and a wine selection that takes itself seriously without being pretentious. The Strand Center for the Arts, housed in a restored 1924 theater, runs year-round programming, films, concerts, plays, and comedy shows, with a membership base that treats opening nights like reunions. Plattsburgh's location near SUNY Plattsburgh means there's a steady stream of cultural events, guest lectures, and concerts open to the public, adding an intellectual dimension that many small towns lack. Out on the lake, the social scene shifts outdoors. The city marina becomes command central in summer. People fish off the docks, sailboats glide past, and the waterfront walkway fills with evening strollers. Winter brings ice fishing, cross-country skiing, and a whole different community of people who embrace the cold rather than flee from it.